Hello and welcome back to the MMA Bar. Today we're going to discuss an exciting night of fights headlined by Brian Ortega and Yair Rodriguez that featured some of the best fights and finishes so far this year. An entertaining afternoon of action that took place on July 16th at UBS Arena on Long Island ended up not with a bang, but with an unfortunate injury. Brian Ortega vs. Yair Rodriguez was expected to be the fight of the night or fight of the year candidate, but things did not unravel as expected. But before we get into the main event, let's get into this great card that delivered an exciting night of fights. This card has a lot of exciting finishes and fights. Out of 6 fights on the prelims, 4 of them were finishes. Some of the highlights of the prelims were Justin Jacoby landing a vicious shot against Dwight Grant in the first round, improving his record to 9 wins, 0 losses. In the next fight, Herbert Burns could not continue and was crawling to his corner to his fight against Bill Algeo. Once Burns could not get to his corner on time, Keith Peterson called off the fight. To end the prelims, Ricky Simon shocked the world by submitting a fan favorite Jack Shore, while Punahele Soriano defeated Dalcha Lungiambula via knockout. The opening fight of the main card was a bout between 2 flyweight top contenders, Lauren Murphy and Miesha Tate. Murphy ended up winning via a 30-27, 30-27, 29-28 unanimous decision. Just after this fight, it got announced that Charles Oliveira will face Islam Makhachev for the vacant UFC lightweight title on October 22nd in Abu Dhabi at UFC 280. The second fight of the main card between Charles Jourdain and Shane Burgos was one everyone had anticipated to be the fight of the night. Although Charles Jourdain outlanded Shane Burgos in significant strikes, 113-42, Burgos was nonetheless awarded the majority decision. Credit to a second-round wrestling domination. Although Jourdain rallied in the final round and put on a spectacle, he found himself on the wrong end of the decision at UFC Long Island, which left many fans frustrated. The next fight on the main card between Matt Schnell and Sumudarji produced one of the best rounds of all time across any combat sports. Schnell hit a leg kick that caused Sumudarji to slip. Sumudarji then responded with a huge left that dropped Schnell. He landed another big elbow that dropped Schnell to one knee. He landed a few more, but Schnell refused to go down. While it looked like Sumudarji was just about to finish Schnell, Schnell took him down and landed a flying elbow on his face. The crowd was on its feet, and Daniel Cormier was going crazy on commentary. Schnell finished the ground and pound with a triangle choke that submitted him and slept him with what was a very bloody affair. In the third fight of the main card, Li Jingliang, who was dominated by Khamzat Chimaev in his last outing, recorded an impressive TKO victory against Muslim Silikov. Li dropped Muslim in the second round and finished him by TKO 4 minutes 38 seconds into the second round. The Leech improved his UFC record to 10 wins, 5 losses, with this win and his overall record to 19 wins, 7 losses. In the co-main event, Amanda Lemos beat Michelle Waterson-Gomez via submission owing to a guillotine choke. The first round lacked excitement for the fans, who resorted to booing and flashing cell phone lights to amuse themselves. However, the second round saw a quick finish by the Brazilian. Lemos secured the tap inside 2 minutes of round 2, and will likely replace her opponent in the top 10 of the UFC's strawweight rankings. Finally, it was time for the main event, and this was a fight everyone was eager for. Things were shaping up to be as thrilling as anticipated, as both men had success on their feet early in the fight, but it wasn't meant to be. It was shaping up to be a fun fight for as long as it lasted. Ortega was relentless with forward pressure, and Rodriguez was accurate with all sorts of strikes. Notably, Rodriguez landed a sublime left hand to knee to outside leg kick combination early in the round. Ortega leaned into his wrestling and secured a takedown after a failed first attempt. Late in the opening round of the main event, Brian Ortega suffered a dislocated shoulder while looking to pull his arm out of his armbar attempt by Yair Rodriguez, bringing the highly anticipated featherweight main event to a sudden, saddening halt. Ortega pulled away with little effort, but he immediately fell back in pain and referee Keith Peterson intervened. Rodriguez was awarded the first round finish after Ortega suffered a shoulder injury in their main event clash at UFC Fight Night. Rodriguez said during his post-fight interview, "It's unfortunate that his shoulder dislocated. I already told him we could run it back, of course." I want to fight for the title. I have tons of respect. If I said I didn't have respect for the champ before, it's because I didn't know better. Of course I have respect for the champ. He's a freaking beast. Rodriguez improved to 14-3, won NC and bounced back from a loss to Max Holloway in his previous outing. He adds Ortega to a hit list that includes Chang Sung-jung, BJ Penn, Dan Hooker, and Jeremy Stevens. Ortega has now lost consecutive fights for the first time in his professional career. He is 2-3 dating back to 2018. Brian Ortega was at a loss for words following his disappointing loss to Yair Rodriguez at UFC Long Island. Ortega said after the fight, "Guys, I'm so freaking sorry. I didn't know how this happened. I wanted to keep going, but this thing came out. You can tell I've had 2 shoulder surgeries already. I might need a third, who knows? Yair, congratulations. It is what it is. If you don't get the title fight or whatever happens, I want to get it and let's do it right. This is not the right way. Let's do it right. I want us both to leave it in the cage because that's what we came to do." It was a profoundly unfortunate way for a fight of its magnitude to end, with Ortega seeking redemption after his failed title bout against Alexander Volkanovski, and Rodriguez hunting for his first shot at UFC Gold, and Ortega couldn't help but bemoan his bad luck. Ortega said Saturday on the UFC Long Island post-fight, "Rodriguez's grip was tight on my arm and it dislocated, and that's what it is. Like, no arm lock, no nothing, but it just dislocated. Freak accident, and it just sucks. It's the first time it's ever happened in my entire career. That was the first time it's ever happened, and now I'm kind of, like, taken aback by it. I can't believe this is what's going on right now." He continued, "Everything was going my way. Literally, I was winning every minute of the fight. I was sticking to the game plan because I do get emotional. The outcome is even more unlucky for Ortega considering his past issues with his shoulder. The 31-year-old contender has twice gone under the knife to deal with his shoulder injuries." Ortega and Rodriguez both called for a chance to run things back once T-City is back to full health. However, with UFC president Dana White voicing an interest in putting together an interim title bout between Rodriguez and Josh Emmett, while Volkanovski recovers from his own surgery, any plans for a rematch may be postponed depending on Ortega's health. The California native plans to figure out a proper timeline for his return as soon as possible. Several MMA personalities took to Twitter to let their disappointment be known at the unfortunate turn of events. Henry Cejudo stated that he would like the fight to be rescheduled for a later date. He said, "Oh man, that really sucks. Feel for Ortega. I'd love to see them run it back. Hashtag UFC Long Island." Billy Quarantillo speculated on whether Ortega had the injury coming into the fight. He said, "Sometimes fighters fight with injuries. Not sure if this is what happened, but tough to see. Brutal sport." Megan Anderson mentioned the possibility of Rodriguez being matched up against Alexander Volkanovski next. She said, "Man, this sucks. Such an anticlimactic ending to what was looking like a great fight. Do they run it back, or do they match Yair with Volk now?" Teddy Atlas also reacted on Twitter and said, "Disappointing end. Rodriguez was scoring with placing straight rights as Ortega looked to lead with hook." Hopefully, Ortega would recover quickly from his shoulder injury, and we would love to see them run it back again. Thank you for watching this video. That's all for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell.